honor to introduce our next speaker, who is our keynote speaker today, and that is the Honourable Madam Justice Croll. We are extremely fortunate and honored to have Justice Croll with us today, and not only because she is such a wonderful example of the highest level of professionalism, integrity, and excellence that our legal profession has to offer. That is so obvious, it's not even necessary to say. But Justice Croll, affectionately known as Bonnie, I hope you won't mind me referring to as Bonnie today, is particularly near and dear to our hearts because she was the Assistant Dean of Students at the Faculty of Law before being appointed to the bench. And I still remember being a law student just over 20 years ago and seeing this gorgeous, very kind, impeccably dressed always, professional administrator in our halls. And I, like many of the young female law students of the time, wondered, who is this woman? And I discovered that she was a very highly successful partner of a downtown law firm, Ware Folds, who had decided to leave the practice of law after over a decade to come to law school to join the administrative team. And I remember being so impressed. This is very true. I was so impressed, and I remember thinking, one day I think I'd like to follow in her footsteps. Well, I can say that I have definitely not matched her sense of style and beauty, but I can definitely credit Bonnie with inspiring me to join the law school as well after a short time of practice and to devote my career to public service. So Bonnie inspires even when she does not know she is inspiring. She is warm, caring, and a true mentor to young professionals. And I'd just like to say thank you for joining us and to welcome you to the podium.
Thank you, Jane, for that very generous introduction. So, where to begin today? This is your day, graduates, and I am so delighted, so honored to be a part of it. Congratulations to each of you. You have worked tremendously hard to get to where you are. You have overcome obstacles that most of us have not and will never experience. You have come from other countries. In addition to Canada, you have academic degrees from the United Kingdom, Sweden, the Netherlands, Belarus, the Philippines, Pakistan, Bangladesh, the People's Republic of China, Nigeria, India, and Sri Lanka. And among you speak some 16 different languages. But here in Canada, you have formed one unit, one class, and have conquered language barriers, managed cultural differences, and even survived through the Canadian winter. As a new grandmother, that's very dear to my heart. And why have you done this? Why have you worked so diligently to complete the Internationally Trained Lawyers Program? The answer is clear. Because you are smart, ambitious, committed to the law, and because you strive for a productive and meaningful life here in Canada, a good life for you and your families. When Jane and Kim asked me to give these graduation remarks, my immediate reaction was two-pronged. What would I say, and why me? What I would say caused me great angst. I write and I speak a lot in my job, judgments and rulings, addresses to the jury, but in reality, I'm rarely starting with the blank slate as I am here today. The lawyers give me their best positions and the law that supports their positions. I do my best to analyze it and come up with a decision. If I am in error, well, there's always the Court of Appeal. There's no higher court to review what I might say today. And why me? At first I thought, the story of this class is not my story. I was born in Ontario. My father was a lawyer. My path, quite frankly, was rather comfortable and direct. Yet that was not the path of my grandparents. I am just 2 generations removed from where you are today, and we actually share a story. My 4 grandparents all arrived from Europe in the early 1900s. They were escaping religious persecution. They did not know the language. They had no jobs when they arrived in this country, but like you, they had determination, industry, and the motivation to succeed in order to make a better life for themselves and their children. And where better to do that than in Canada? Canada, the home to all of us, is a wonderful country. It is, and always has been, a country of immigrants. The mix of ethnic groups, languages, and cultures that coexist in Canada enhance and strengthen both our national persona and our international stature and admiration. Canada is free and democratic, where the rule of law matters and informs the protections in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. As Canadians, we enjoy freedom of expression, freedom of association, the right to vote, and the right to live anywhere from coast to coast. Our Charter protects our legal rights to life, liberty, and the security of the person, and to equality. For more than 30 years, the Charter has been the driving force of change, progress, and the affirmation of the values of Canadian society. In this country, if any person, rich or poor, weak or powerful, believes that his or her rights or freedoms under the Charter have been infringed, he or she can go to court to ask for a remedy, and if the court finds that there's been a Charter violation, it can grant whatever remedy it feels is appropriate. As you have learned in your classes in Canada, a court may stop proceedings against a person charged with an offense if his or her right to a trial within a reasonable time has been denied. As you have learned, in Canada, a court may grant a remedy if it finds that an individual's rights have been violated. For example, a police officer has improperly searched for evidence on private property. As you have learned, in Canada, if a court finds that a law is discriminatory under the Equality Rights section of the Charter, the court can declare the law has no force. Canadian courts have rendered hundreds of decisions in which they invoke the Charter to bring our laws into accordance with the principles and values of Canadian society. While our Charter has been the model for many countries around the world, in many countries, its power and impact would be unheard of. And who brings about this change when there is an issue regarding our fundamental rights and freedoms? It is the lawyers. And by completing the ITLP, I always get the initials on, each of you has taken the first steps to becoming the guardians of what matters most to Canadians, our freedoms and our values of fairness and equality. Now, I know that realistically, not every lawyer will have the opportunity to participate in a constitutional case, but that does not detract from the responsibility you will assume when you practice law in Canada. It has been said that lawyers are to the fabric of society what doctors are to the human body. You will diagnose, treat, cure, and prevent societal problems. Each of you has acted in this manner as a lawyer in your country of origin. Now I urge you all, as future lawyers in Canada, to continue this service in your adopted country. Make a living, of course. Take care of your families, of course. But do not ignore those who have not enjoyed the benefits that you've had. Diagnose, treat, cure, and prevent their problems. You have had the privilege of being accepted into and completing a rigorous program. This program will improve your life in Canada. There is an expression, some of you may be familiar with it. It is pay it forward. It means you've had support, now offer it to someone else. I urge you to help others from your home countries or elsewhere settle in our great country. Help them adapt culturally, legally, linguistically, professionally. Remind them that our winters do end. Let your stories and accomplishment inspire and encourage others to succeed. Now, Dean Kidner quoted Mark Twain. I'm not quite as literate. I've turned to Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Dr. Ruth is an American media personality, sex therapist, and author, best known as Dr. Ruth. Today, she is 87 years old. But when she was much younger, at the age of 75, she gave the commencement address at Trinity College University in Hartford, Connecticut. I'd like to share with you something that Dr. Ruth told the graduates that day. She said, and I quote, "My favorite animal is the turtle. The reason is that in order for the turtle to move, it has to stick its neck out. There are going to be times in your life when you're going to have to stick your neck out. There will be challenges, and instead of hiding in a shell, you have to go out and meet them." I have personally tried to adopt this philosophy. Some 15 years ago, I was appointed a Superior Court judge. I had already been a lawyer for over 20 years, but I had been a solicitor doing the transactional work behind the scenes. I had never argued a case in court and was completely unfamiliar with the rules of practice. The closest I had come to speaking in court was whispering to the barrister I sat beside when one of my civil matters ended up in court. Quite frankly, I didn't know who stood where, who opened or closed court. I didn't know anything about the procedure. In fact, and I share this truthfully, when I was a lawyer, I purposely never wore a barrister's gown to court so that I wouldn't have to speak to the judge. And now, I am that judge in court every day. Ladies and gentlemen, you have already been the turtles and have stuck your collective heads out. You have accepted the challenge of being accredited to practice law in Canada. Do not stop sticking your heads out. Do not stop challenges and taking risks. Sometimes you will fail. We all do. But a thoughtful person once said, take a risk. If you win, you will be happy. If you lose, you will be wise. I again harken back to my own experience. I take risks in some of my decisions when I firmly believe it is the right thing to do. Sometimes the Court of Appeal agrees with me, but when it does not, I always end up a little bit wiser. Maybe a little chagrined or a little self-conscious, but always the wiser. Ladies and gentlemen, let me again congratulate you. Today, you are embarking on a path of leadership and success in Canada. But as Dean Yakabuchi and Dean Kidner acknowledged, you did not do this alone. And before I close, I would like to acknowledge your families and the others who have supported you through this challenging process, together with the directors and staff of the ITLP, with a round of applause. I know you would not be here without them. Now, let me return to where I started. This is your day. Celebrate your achievements and continue to work hard to become contributing members of the Canadian profession. We need you, and we welcome you with open arms.